Welcome to the Mystery and History channel. Be sure to subscribe and like so you don't miss out on more videos like this one. The Formula One driver Alfonso de Portago is photographed receiving a kiss moments before his final race in Italy in 1957, captured during the Mille Miglia, just before a serious crash in the event. Soldiers spend Christmas in the trenches during the 1914 conflict, in a rare pause along the front lines. In some sectors, unofficial truces allowed greetings and small gestures of goodwill between opposing sides. Tanya Roberts appears in 1982 as Kiri, a character in the adventure fantasy film The Beastmaster. The movie stood out for its striking visual style and success among genre fans in the 1980s. Teams of workers operate near the damaged reactor at Chernobyl nuclear power plant in 1986 during containment efforts. Known as liquidators, they performed essential tasks to limit the spread of the accident's effects. Charles Lindbergh became the first person to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean on May 21, 1927. He piloted the Spirit of St. Louis from New York City to Paris, completing the non-stop flight in about 33 hours. The Imperial Camel Corps served in desert campaigns in 1918, using camels as strategic transport. These animals were deemed more resilient than horses in arid environments and over long distances. Crowds gather around the airship Hindenburg at Lakehurst, New Jersey in May 1936 during one of its first U.S. visits. At the time, the airship symbolized technological luxury in transatlantic travel. A soldier dismounts from a tank with hands raised in surrender, captured during a historic conflict. Photographs taken by Dr. Reed Bontecu during the American Civil War were used to document soldiers' injuries. These records served as visual evidence for granting pensions after the conflict. A turbine is installed at Hoover Dam in 1933 during the construction phase of this major U.S. engineering project. The turbines were to generate hydroelectric power for millions in the western United States. Workers build the shell-shaped roof of the new Sydney Opera House in 1963. The innovative architectural design by Danish architect Jørn Utzon required complex engineering solutions. A car converted to run on wood gas travels as an alternative fuel source during the 1940s. This method was widely used when gasoline was scarce, especially during wartime. A reusable shopping list is displayed in a 1950s kitchen with organized categories to ease household planning. Hollywood legend Steve McQueen meets actress Jane Mansfield in the early 1960s at a film industry event. Both were cinema icons of the time, known for their charisma and popularity with audiences. Sophia Loren is photographed at the Venice Film Festival in 1955 during a pivotal moment in her rise to international stardom. Known for her elegance and talent, she stood out as one of Italy's leading actresses of the era. Some boys stopped to watch a Marilyn Monroe film in Suriname in the early 1950s. The scene illustrates the impact of American film culture reaching communities around the world. New York City streets in 1894 show massive horse manure buildup, reflecting the era's main urban transport. Horses pulling streetcars and carriages created significant sanitation and public health challenges. Chinese government troops advance into Tibetan territory in 1950, marking the start of a period of political control in the region. The action led to significant changes in local administration and international relations. A mobile surgical unit of the U.S. Army operates in Korea in 1952, providing medical care close to the combat lines. These units became known as MASH and later inspired the famous television series. A young Filipino woman is displayed in 1914 as part of a human exhibition at Coney Island Zoo in New York City. These presentations were promoted as entertainment, reflecting colonial views and practices now widely rejected. Marilyn Monroe and Jane Russell are photographed on the set of Gentlemen Prefer Blondes in 1952 during filming in Hollywood. The musical comedy became one of the biggest hits of its time and cemented both as cinema icons. Computers are displayed in a parade in East Germany in 1987 as a symbol of the country's technological advancement. The equipment was transported on vehicles in public events to showcase scientific and industrial progress. Passengers enjoy comfort aboard the upper deck of a Qantas Airways Boeing 747 in 1971. The area was reserved for first-class travelers, featuring spacious seats and a social lounge. Walt Disney stands beside Squadron Leader Roald Dahl of the Royal Air Force during a meeting photographed in the 1940s. Both made significant contributions in their fields, Disney in entertainment and Dahl as a pilot and celebrated author. A group of people poses in front of a giant sequoia tree in California in 1898, highlighting its impressive size. Sequoias are known as some of the largest and oldest trees on the planet. Dinosaur replicas are delivered for exhibition at the Boston Museum of Science in 1984 as part of an educational display. The pieces were carefully transported and assembled to attract visitors and foster interest in paleontology. An ice hockey game in Sweden was halted in 1959 due to extreme weather conditions that made play impossible. A heavy blizzard covered the rink, completely obscuring visibility for players and spectators. The G-38 aircraft around 1930 was an innovative model featuring passenger cabins built into the leading edges of its wings. Designed in Germany, the G-38 offered unusual comfort and space for its era, with windows along the wings. Atlantic City Beach is packed in 1908 with bathers wearing the period's typical swimwear, enjoying the summer on the U.S. East Coast. The destination was one of the most popular leisure and tourism spots in the early 20th century. Betty White is photographed at her home in Los Angeles alongside her dog in 1952 in a quiet moment of her personal life. Already active in television, she was building her career while also known for her love of animals. Weightlifter and strength athlete Paul Anderson became an Olympic champion and is widely celebrated for his remarkable feats. He won the gold medal at the 1956 Melbourne Games representing the United States. Adrian Carton de Wiart is photographed in 1943 after a military career defined by surviving 3 wars and 2 plane crashes. During his service, he was wounded multiple times in the face, leg, hip, and even lost an eye. Residents of Hanoi wait inside sidewalk dugouts with water up to their chests during an air raid alert in 1967. These improvised shelters provided temporary protection while they awaited the all-clear signal. The first-class gym aboard the Titanic in 1912 featured state-of-the-art equipment for its time, such as stationary bicycles and rowing machines. Located near the wealthiest passengers' quarters, the facility reflected the ship's luxury and innovation. A businessman and his secretary work inside a swimming pool during a heat wave in Berlin, Germany in 1926. The scene illustrates a creative solution to cope with high temperatures without disrupting office activities. Workers are servicing a car suspended on an improvised stand inside a garage in 1927, illustrating the maintenance methods used at the time before modern safety equipment became standard. Boys work at a coal breaker plant owned by the Lehigh Valley Coal Company in Pennsylvania in the early 1900s. Known as breaker boys, they were tasked with manually removing impurities from coal. People form a line to buy sausages in the former Soviet Union during the 1980s. Scenes like this were common during food shortages and rationing in major cities. One of Motorola's first portable phones is introduced in 1973, marking the dawn of the mobile communication era. The device was large and heavy, but represented a significant technological breakthrough for its time. A female poker player wears a special mask in 1937 to hide her facial expressions during a game. This unusual accessory was designed to maintain neutrality and prevent opponents from reading her reactions. A child is changing the channel manually on a television during the 1970s, before electronic remote controls became widespread. This practice was common in many households, where the youngest often acted as the family's remote control. Workers restore a Viking runestone in the Västergötland region of Sweden in 1936, preserving its historical inscriptions. A bullet pierces a cartridge belt worn by a German soldier in the 1940s. The capture was noted as a rare example of precision, striking the cartridges directly within the belt compartment. A child poses with one of the first telephone models in Norway in 1907 in a studio photograph. The wall-mounted device with separate earpieces and a side crank was common in telephone systems of the era. A man looks out over the Grand Canyon in Arizona, standing on the edge of a rock formation in 1914. Ted Drake is carried unconscious off the field during a match in 1938, before concussion protocols or formal substitutions existed. After regaining consciousness, he returned to the game and continued playing, as was common. Schoolboys bid an excited farewell as they ride stacked on a luggage-filled wagon home for the Christmas holidays in 1926. A young Marilyn Monroe appears with her mother on a beach around 1929 in a rare, intimate moment of her childhood. Born Norma Jean Mortensen, she experienced family instability before achieving worldwide fame. Workers build the GPO Tower in London in 1964, working at remarkable heights without today's modern safety gear. The tower was designed for telecommunications and became one of the tallest buildings in the United Kingdom at the time. Elizabeth Taylor is seen washing her Cocker Spaniel named Amy in 1949 in a relaxed moment away from the studios. The actress, then just 17, was already one of Hollywood's most promising young stars. A man poses beside his car decorated with signs reading "Just Divorced" in 1934 in the United States, playfully referencing the wedding tradition of cars displaying "Just Married." Goats climb argan trees in Morocco in 1954 to reach the fruit that makes up part of their diet. This behavior, common in the country's southwest, draws attention for its unusual appearance. Captain Kirk stands beside the Jupiter 8 car, specially designed by aliens for an episode of the original science fiction series in 1965. The vehicle served as part of the set on a planet with a culture similar to Earth's. Workers lay bricks to pave 28th Street in Manhattan on October 2, 1930. The manual paving technique required precision and physical labor, reflecting urban infrastructure methods of the time. The world's smallest manned airplane, called the WWII, was introduced in 1948 as a lightweight engineering novelty. With no enclosed cockpit, the pilot sat atop the fuselage, fully exposed to the elements during flight. Xavier Mertz climbs an ice crevasse during the Australasian Antarctic expedition led by Douglas Mawson in 1912. The journey faced extreme conditions, and Mertz was one of the members who did not return from the mission. London police officers test life jackets by jumping into the River Thames during the 1940s. The exercise was part of emergency preparedness training for urban and port areas. The Wall of Death in Massachusetts featured radical motorcycle shows, sidecar carts, and surprisingly, even a lion around the 1930s. A Harley-Davidson motorcycle is fitted with a front baby seat in a photograph taken around 1952. The improvised accessory reflects an era when transportation safety standards were still evolving. Gymnasts pose casually in acrobatic exercises in Heinrich Haymann's records connected to the Turnverein movement. This German association promoted physical education, discipline, and team spirit. Ellen DeGeneres poses for her prom photo around 1976 at Atlanta High School in Atlanta, Texas. Dressed formally, she takes part in a common U.S. high school tradition. Passengers rest in a first-class sleeper car in 1929, featuring fold-down beds and privacy curtains. These compartments provided comfort and luxury on long railway journeys, especially in Europe and the United States. An extreme punishment method is documented in Shiraz, Iran, using a cannon as the instrument in a period before modern justice standards. Such practices were recorded in past centuries, mainly in military or colonial contexts. A couple poses beside their car on a trip, accompanied by their baby and dog in a classic family outing scene. Students take part in a potato race at Public School number 44 in New York City in 1919. The event was part of school activities meant to promote sports and teamwork. A U.S. Air Force C-124 aircraft carries the fuselage of a Lufthansa Junkers in Berlin around 1956. The operation involved transporting disassembled aircraft for maintenance or relocation between bases. 3 generations of women pose in front of a stone house in rural Ireland in 1927, dressed in simple, everyday clothing. The scene represents family bonds and traditional customs upheld in farming communities. Cars climb one of San Francisco's famous hills in the 1950s, with cable car tracks visible in the pavement. The urban scene showcases the city's classic architecture and typical traffic of the era, featuring vintage car models. Couples dance swing in a club in Mississippi in 1939 to live music and energetic choreographed steps. The style was popular at the time and was a staple of nightlife across the United States. Students in Pleasanton, Texas collaborate on a school project in 1957, reflecting an integrated learning environment. Yankees fans pose in elegant attire as they wait in line for the 1923 World Series in New York City. At the time, it was customary for men to attend sporting events in suits, hats, and ties. A motorcycle patrol in Germany is photographed with carrier pigeons during a reconnaissance mission in an era before modern surveillance systems. Children cross the river using pulleys on their way to school in the outskirts of Modena, Italy, in 1959. The scene illustrates a traditional transport method used in rural areas where students face daily challenges to get to school. A Dairy Queen celebrated its grand opening at the corner of Moore Park Street and Backman Avenue in Studio City in 1957. To mark the occasion, the shop gave away free ice cream to the public, drawing local residents. A pre-game photo of opening day between the Boston Bean Eaters and New York Giants at the Polo Grounds in New York City. Sigmund Freud walks beside his daughter Anna Freud in 1938 as they leave Vienna for London. The move followed Austria's annexation at a time of rising tension in Europe. People enjoy a leisure day at Tajik Sea Beach in the Tajik Soviet Socialist Republic in 1975. The area was a popular destination for locals seeking relaxation and outdoor activities. A woman cuts her birthday cake in Iran in 1973 during a family celebration. The scene was captured 5 years before the social and political changes of the 1979 revolution. Winners of a car race in Moscow received tires as their prize in 1982 during a local sporting event. At the time, items like tires were valuable and hard to come by, making the award quite significant. Women shop in a grocery store in the 1940s, selecting products from organized shelves with period packaging. Stores still required direct interaction with clerks to weigh and bag items. A set is arranged featuring an enlarged image of Benito Mussolini behind a camera, and the propaganda slogan, "Cinematography is the most powerful weapon," on November 10, 1937. A Ringling Brothers circus elephant disembarks from a train car in 1963 during frequent city-to-city moves in the United States. These transports were part of the circus's logistics for bringing shows to various regions. A woman cleans her kitchen floor using brushes strapped to her feet while reading in the 1950s. The improvised technique reflected creative ways to make household chores more practical and lighthearted. The Inn Tourist Hotel overlooking the Kremlin and Red Square in Moscow is captured in 1978 as a symbol of Soviet hospitality. The building hosted foreign visitors and was one of the capital's main lodging spots at the time. Kindergarten children participate in group activities in Latvia in 1965 while the country was part of the Soviet Union. The school environment focused on collective development, emphasizing discipline and socialization from the earliest years. Hatters craft new styles in a workshop in Estonia in 1972. Production was done by hand, combining traditional techniques with the era's modern fashions. Members of the band Kiss are photographed in 1972 before adopting the makeup that would become their trademark. A modified vehicle. If you enjoyed this video and want to support the channel, please use the Super Thanks tool below. Your contribution helps us keep bringing you amazing historical content. Thank you so much for your support, and see you in the next video.